Hello and welcome to another Mind Mastery video. As you probably know, or at least heard or read somewhere, generally it is thought that a depression is caused by either chemical imbalance in the brain, or unhealthy lifestyle, or social anxiety, and as a consequence, isolation, or genetic components and similar stuff. So in overall, the attention is all focused on you and how you are causing yourself this depression in a more or less conscious way, whether it's, your own unhealthy habits or your own body, you cannot fully control because obviously you cannot change your DNA just like that. But what is missing in all of these theories is actually the relationship a person has with the reality around them. So this factor is usually ignored, or in turn is mentioned in a way that it is again a person's fault not having a good relationship with, their friends or family or the world in general. But what if a person who is depressed is actually right? What if the reason they are depressed is, quite a legit reason to be depressed about? Like, if you look at the world and what's going on these days, such as, poverty, hunger, extremism, philosophies which kind of oppress people, and so-called terrorist attacks, and on the top of that, hopeless people who cannot really deal with it, which suggests a little bit confused and ignorant society. So, any healthy person would be depressed about it because we cannot change the world just like that. We cannot go out and tell people to behave differently. We cannot suggest some other ways of living without offending the other person. And if you imagine the analogy of the computer, when you use the computer and suddenly there is an error on the screen, you cannot really do anything unless you acknowledge the error and you click, OK or accept or whatever else. In the similar manner, when our model of reality, when our beliefs and values and principles don't really match the reality out there, the reality outside, there is an error. There's a conflict between our own model of the reality and the reality outside. And in turn, we cannot really do anything unless we acknowledge this conflict and unless we're going to acknowledge and accept the error that exists between ourselves and the world around us. And this is very often the case with depressed people. They cannot really express themselves properly. They feel, flat, stuck, or blocked, or simply depressed because there's this conflict between what they believe in and what the actual reality is. But as I've said before, it doesn't mean that the person has to change the model of the reality. It doesn't mean they have to become ignorant and simply just, shrug their shoulders and accept things as they are. It doesn't mean they have to entirely change the reality outside of them either, because it's simply impossible. You cannot, suddenly change all of the people in the world to suit your beliefs, to suit your perception and your values, because it's simply impossible. So what do we do with that instead? Well, the first thing to acknowledge is that we cannot really be ourselves. And that's why we feel depressed, because although we have a drive to do things, we cannot do it. We feel, stuck and blocked. The next thing is to actually rebel a little bit about the conditions imposed upon us. And I realize that at this point, some of you might say, but Joanna, what about serotonin, dopamine, neurotransmitters, and biological components? You cannot really force yourself to change it. You cannot really force yourself when you are so hopelessly lying in a bed day by day. Well, I'm not entirely against medications or therapy or anything like that. They are certainly helpful. But if you're not willing to work upon yourself, if you're not willing to put an effort into actually changing your reality, changing your relationship with the reality, no amount of medications or therapy is going to help you in the long term. As I'm saying, we start by rebelling against our condition. So when you ask yourself whether you agree with having a depression or not, obviously, if your answer is yes, then okay, go enjoy your depression. If your answer is no, then you're taking the first step in changing yourself, changing your mindset. Then you go to the next higher thing, which also determines your relationship with the reality. For instance, do you agree with the environment that you are currently in? Do you agree with, being surrounded with this type of friends, this kind of people? Are these people supportive, or are they actually making you feel bad about yourself and they kind of restrict your expression? They make you feel like you're being judged or weird or, sick or whatever. If the answer is yes, okay, enjoy your friends. If the answer is no, then obviously you need to change the environment, because the environment is causing you to have this bad relationship with the reality, because you cannot feel like you are able to be yourself because other people restrict you. If the answer is no, obviously you can go and change the environment. I don't know, move out and sort out your friends, get new friends. There's, 8 billion people in the world, and I'm sure you can find someone who is quite similar to you and will not restrict your self-expression. And again, you can continue with this question. You can continue with this little rebellion against, every single belief that you're having about the world, such as, do you agree when people in your society engage in certain behavior? If the answer is no, then live by the example. Like, for instance, are you currently the kind of person that, other people could aspire to, other people could value and respect? Obviously, you want that answer to be yes at some point. And if such answer is yes, then obviously it means that you are living by your values and your principles, and you're influencing other people in the positive way. And I think it's something that each of us should aspire to, because we cannot just go out and change people. We cannot, post on Facebook these little monologues in which we offend the whole society, the whole world, and complain how bad everything is, whereas in fact we give a bad example to other people. But once you start this journey of recovering from depression, or even, simple self-development, then obviously you need to consider what impact you are having on other people. So I think that's pretty much it for today, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.